What's up, everybody? Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So there's a ton of news to go over this week, even more than normal. So I'm going to get right into it. First off, we have a report here, a rumor that's saying most likely there will be a faster version of the EcoBoost Mustang coming soon for the 2020 model year. And so this is coming from, there's been an NHTSA VIN filing, and so that's kind of giving the government ideas as far as what to expect for emissions and all that kind of stuff for future engines. Anyway, this was discovered by Bozy Tatarovic for Haggerty, actually, and the document here lists all the usual Mustang engines we were expecting, but it also lists a second 2.3 liter EcoBoost, and the horsepower that's listed is TBD, for to be determined. So according to Bozy, he has some sources at Ford supposedly saying that it's a new higher performing version of the EcoBoost Mustang that could possibly be better competition for the 4 and 6 cylinder versions of the Camaro 1LE. And so that's obviously kind of a little bit of a gap. Now we don't have any kind of V6 Mustang or anything to kind of bridge the gap. You have the EcoBoost and the GT, and there's a decent price difference between those two with nothing to kind of fill in the gap. So this could potentially do that. There's also rumors this could be the hybrid Mustang that's been rumored to come, although it's still kind of uncertain. That was originally promised for a 2020 calendar year, so this would be a little early for that. And then, there's also rumors the hybrid Mustang won't come to the next gen. And then there's also rumors like the SVO nameplate could be making a return for a special edition for the EcoBoost. Show them some love instead of everything just being GT-centric recently. And then, they could, if they wanted to do a 1LE competitor, all you have to do is offer the performance package level 2 for the EcoBoost, or offer the tires you have in the level 1 performance pack for the GT, put that on the EcoBoost, because currently the EcoBoost performance pack I think only has 255 wide tires, so you put 275s in the back, that would give you extra meat there. But I don't know, we'll have to wait and see what they do, because if it was performance pack level 2, they wouldn't have any separate horsepower listing, just like that is just on the GT version, just normal horsepower GT, just the extra grip. So we'll have to wait and see what they end up coming up with. But Ford did kind of say a little bit more than just no comment. Whenever they were asked about this, their official response was that Ford is always elevating Mustang and will share more exciting news this spring. So, sounds like maybe we could see something possibly at the New York Auto Show, maybe some other event or something. But anyway, interesting to hear that. For a Ford performance vehicle we don't get here in the States anymore, sadly, Ford revealed the brand new Focus ST, and to really rub salt in the wounds of every Focus ST fan, it sounds pretty sweet. So this is going to be available in Europe and other parts of the world that get these still. It's going to be running the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine now, actually that Mustang engine, but makes a little less in this application, 276 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, but that's still 24 more horsepower than before and 30 more pound-feet of torque, and so it runs at twin-scroll turbo, and it actually has anti-lag tech as well. And so Ford says 0 to 60 will be under 6 seconds. It also gets a shorter throw 6-speed manual with auto rev matching on performance package models, so I guess they'll be offering a performance package trim here for the ST. There's also going to be a 7-speed adaptive automatic available. I think it's a normal automatic, but they say adaptive because it can tell whether you're on the street versus on the track and how you want to drive, and that in combination with drive modes will kind of help it to be intelligent with its gearing and stuff. It also is going to be getting an electronic limited slip differential and a revised suspension with stiffer springs and continuously controlled damping, supposedly. There's also going to be a faster steering rack now that only takes 2 turns lock to lock, so very quick steering. There's also software called Steering Torque Disturbance Reduction, and I guess that's supposed to fight torque steer, so we'll see. Well, I guess we won't see here in the States, but others overseas will be able to see if that works. There's bigger brakes and your choice of either 18 or 19-inch wheels, both wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. There's 3 drive modes on the regular version, but if you get the performance package, then that unlocks the 4th driving mode, which is a track mode. And since this is outside the US, there's also going to be a diesel version as well with 187 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque for those that prefer the higher efficiency of that. And anyway, there's going to be on sale in Europe this summer. Maybe Ford could surprise us and bring it over, but as of right now, the Focus is supposed to be dead. It's not being brought over. It's not built in the States or anything, so I mean, we'll have to see how things pan out with imports and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, unlikely we'll get that unless Ford pulls something out of left field for us here. But anyway, cool to see that for those of you in Europe. It sounds like that'll be a very cool option. Getting back to some American Ford news, there's a bunch of Ford stories this week. There's a few other VIN documents that were dug up, like the Mustang one. So first is for the redone 2020 Ford Escape, which I just talked about the spy photos last week for that. And so this document says there's going to be 3 engines available, where there's going to be a new base engine with a tiny 1.3 liter 3-cylinder EcoBoost engine that doesn't have the horsepower listed yet, but it's going to replace the 1.5 liter supposedly that previously made 179 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque in the base applications there. So this, I'm guessing, will be less or maybe equal. That little engine is going to be working really hard in this SUV. The next engine up here is the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. That's going to be the one that's combined with a hybrid setup, and that's a naturally aspirated Duratec engine, and so that's going to continue on here. There's also going to be a normal hybrid and then also a plug-in hybrid version, but I think both are still going to be using this engine, it seems. Lastly, it's going to continue on with the 2 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, again, most likely for the higher trims of the Escape like it has been in the past. Speaking of trims, it's going to be the same as the current gen with S, SE, SEL, and Titanium available, and they're all going to be available with all-wheel drive as well. So should have a debut for that here sometime in the next couple of months. Should be pretty soon. The Lincoln version of the Escape, previously called the MKC, now called the Corsair, was actually spied for the first time without any camo on it. It previously had tons of bags on it. Now you can see very clearly that it's going to be a baby aviator in every single way. The taillights are a little more distinctive in the back, but the headlights almost seem to be a copy and paste job, which is kind of a good thing. The Aviator is a beautiful SUV. I'm just worried this might not be distinctive enough, but for those who want Aviator looks but don't want the large size or can't spend the extra money, this will be a cool option for them. And we also have the VIN documents for this revealed as well, thanks to the Truth About Cars that found this one. And so it's going to be getting kind of a little bit more of a hot rod setup than, of course, with the Ford. The Lincoln always seems to get the better engines here. So it's going to be starting off, the base motor is going to be that 2 liter EcoBoost, which is the top trim Escape motor. From there, you can go for a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid version. Again, probably very similar setup to the Escape with that. And those are both going to be running the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder again here in the Lincoln. And then lastly, the Lincoln will also be offering the 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, which has offered in other applications in the past. There's no horsepower listed for that. I believe it's around 300 horsepower in current Lincolns, and so this will be, if you want an Escape-sized package but you want additional grunt, the Lincoln's going to be the way to go. And anyway, that also looks very far along, and previously it seems like Lincoln likes debuting stuff before Ford, and they don't like debuting at the same time. So if this shows up at New York Auto Show, then Escape probably won't. Maybe that'll be a separate event sometime later. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, interesting to see those. And the last Ford story this week here is Ford has revealed pricing for the 2020 Explorer this week. And I know a decent amount of you were pretty excited about this whenever I covered the reveal back in Detroit. But if you like it and you want one, you're going to hopefully have deep pockets, because they have increased the pricing, which is typical, but this has gone up even more than usual new model vehicles. So the base model is only about $400 more than previous year, so it's going to be starting at $33,860, including destination, which isn't bad. So starts reasonable, but then goes up quickly from there. With bigger price increases, the higher you go, it seems. So the XLT models are now $2,275 more expensive than last year, starting at $37,700. And then the ST model, the performance-oriented one, $55,835. So that's going to be pricey, and puts it in an interesting position, because the new Lincoln Aviator, the pricing's already out for that, and that has the same engine, that 400 horsepower engine, only 15 less pound-feet of torque in the Lincoln. So the Explorer has a slight edge with the torque, but 15 pound-feet when you're dealing with 400 already or whatever it is. It's going to be very unnoticeable, I think. Anyway, those Lincoln Aviators, the Lincoln, the nicer one, starts at only $52,195. So you're looking at basically, you know, over $3,000 less for the nicer Lincoln. Now you're talking about a base Lincoln. Most likely the Explorer ST is going to be pretty loaded up, but I mean, a base Lincoln is still going to have pretty decent amount of equipment on it. You know, it's also, you have to keep in mind the Explorer ST at that almost $56,000 price tag doesn't include the track pack you're going to be able to get for that as well, and that gives you the bigger brakes and stuff. That's going to be even more. So in reality, a fully loaded ST could probably be, you know, around 60 grand or something. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how much that track pack costs. But anyway, so if you want a fast, nice riding SUV, sounds like the Aviator will probably be the better way to go, unless you think the better handling and braking of the ST is going to be worth the extra charge. But otherwise, you're going down in brand, and you still have the same horsepower. So maybe that'll help Lincoln out a little bit, because I think they need a little boost, so that would be good. On top of all those other trims, the top of the line Platinum trim for the Explorer is going to be $4,085 more expensive than the previous generation version, and so it's going to be starting at $59,345. And then that's before any options on that. Now, I'm guessing it's fully loaded for the most part and will have very few options, but you still could probably get one of these things easily over $60,000. And that then puts it in some pretty competitive luxury territory for a 3-row crossover. I mean, you know, some of the other stuff that's really decked out is going to be more expensive once you load those up with options. But you can still get some pretty nice stuff that's 3 rows for, you know, 60 grand. I mean, Acura MDX that I just reviewed, I think that one was, you know, 54 or something, 56. So way cheaper than this here. And so anyway, we'll have to wait and see, you know, how people respond to this. But anyway, interesting to see that. For some more exciting news here, Aston Martin has officially teased their new mid-engine supercar that's currently called, according to them, the Project 003. That's what they're going with for the name so far. The Valhalla name was rumored in the past. I thought that was confirmed, but maybe not. And so, or maybe that it is the name, but they're just not confirming that yet. But right now it's called Project 003. It looks really cool there. From that one shot we can see in the back, you can see it's got some top-mounted exhaust, similar like a Porsche 918. I think a little closer to the firewall than what you see on like the new McLaren 600 LT, but a similar type of idea, which is a fantastic idea, an excellent decision there by Aston Martin. And the back end looks kind of similar to the Mercedes AMG Project 1 to me a little bit, but looks very, very good. And so they just say it's going to get some tech from the Valkyrie, and they don't say exactly what, but it's been rumored, you know, it's going to be getting a hybrid turbo engine. And so it's probably going to be like a V8 turbo, maybe V6 even is a potential possibility, but it won't have the screaming V12 of the Valkyrie, I don't think. And they say it's going to be more daily drivable than the Valkyrie as well, with more cargo space and stuff like that. But only 500 of these are going to be made still, which I think is a little bit of a bummer that they're limiting them so much. But anyway, deliveries are going to be starting for those in late 2021. And this could be revealed at Geneva. Maybe that's what this teaser is for, considering the timing and everyone else revealing their teasers for Geneva. But it seems a little soon, but who knows? Maybe they will show it off. I hope they do. Next up, we have a report from pistonheads.com, and it's about Alfa Romeo, and they're supposedly working on some exciting stuff as well. And so they sat down, Pistonheads did, with team principal Frederic Vasseur of Alfa's Formula One partner Sauber. So Sauber has been in F1 for a long time and pretty good, racers. And so anyway, this team principal person told them, we are already working on another project together, and you will see the result quite soon. So that's interesting. So in Alfa's 5-year plan last year, if you remember, I covered that last year, they confirmed that a new mid-engine 8C is coming as a new Halo model for them. And then there's also going to be a new GTV, which is basically going to be like a coupe version of the Giulia to compete with like the C63S coupe and stuff like that. So it could be one of those, could be both. Could be something else, who knows, but I'm guessing it's on the 8C Halo model. That would make the most sense, I think. Not sure how soon is quite soon, according to him, either. That remains to be seen, but again, because of the timing, Geneva would be very convenient. So we'll have to wait and see. Could be quite the combo of cars this year at Geneva. Also, Autoblog.gr is reporting some other Alfa news this week. They're claiming that the compact SUV for Alfa Romeo that's going to slot beneath the Stelvio is going to be revealed at Geneva, supposedly. And so a previous rumor from Automotive News, I believe, claimed that the baby Stelvio, whatever it's going to be called, would be based on the Jeep Compass. And that made a lot of enthusiasts cringe, understandably so. But this new report from Autoblog.gr is saying they believe it's going to be built on the Giorgio platform still, which is the same platform as the Giulia and the Stelvio. So maybe just shrink down the Stelvio platform a little bit, and that's what they would do. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case, but that would sound much better than the Jeep Compass platform, and would hopefully retain the great handling here of the other Alphas. So we'll have to wait and see, but Geneva's just a few weeks away, and all will be revealed then, hopefully. Automotive News is also reporting this week that Ferrari's new mid-engine V8 supercar will be coming this year, and that it'll be a hybrid. It won't be coming to Geneva, supposedly, according to them, but it's going to have its own reveal. So my guess is Frankfurt possibly in September, or Pebble Beach in August, since that's really been a hotbed for reveals recently, especially for these exotic companies. So it could be something like that. The hybrid is going to be a regular life cycle model, that they're saying, and according to their CEO, 60% of Ferrari's lineup will have a hybrid version by 2022. And so, we're already talking about 2020, 2021 model year vehicles. So, this is lining up that date's coming pretty soon. So Automotive News claims it's going to sit above the 48 Pista because it's going to have more power. But I don't think it would, if it's going to be a normal production model, I think it's just going to be the new 48 replacement, and just happens to be more powerful than the Pista. But we'll have to see. Maybe the hybrid version will be like the higher performing version. Maybe they'll have a non-hybrid version still available for those who don't want the hybrid stuff, for a little bit of a simpler vehicle, lighter weight, and are okay having less power. So we'll have to wait and see. Getting back to some Geneva stuff though, Subaru has teased a new concept for Geneva called the Viziv Adrenaline concept, and that sounds like a promising name, and the vehicle looks fairly promising as long as you're not opposed to SUVs, because that's certainly looks like what this is. But that front end is really sharp looking. Those headlights really remind me of like a DB11 Aston Martin or something like that. Very nice sculpted nose, again similar to like an Aston. Oh man, it looks really good just from that one image there. And clearly it's a crossover, but it looks like it might be performance oriented. Of course, the Adrenaline name hopefully means it's performance oriented, and it's hard to tell from the dark picture, but some outlets are claiming this is going to be a two-door concept as well. Concept is the key word here, because we know how Subaru loves to break our hearts with gorgeous looking concepts, and then they water it down so much for production. I miss the days when Subaru hired Alfa Romeo's designer back in the mid-2000s, and that's how you got all the really distinctive looking Subarus that aren't as bland as the ones today. But anyway, we'll have to see what ends up coming out of this. And Hyundai is planning to bring a production SUV to Geneva that has some sporty intentions to it, and it's the Tucson N-Line. Not the full-on N. We know a full-on N is coming, but this is not it. It's just teased here. The full-on N's, I think, a year or two away still from happening. But this N-Line, I'm not sure also if it's either coming to only Europe or to the US as well. We are getting the Elantra GT N-Line here. I think it's something Hyundai's going to want to roll out for the States as well, so I'm hoping we do get this here. But anyway, about this vehicle here, from the teaser we can see refreshed styling as well. It's probably going to extend to regular Tucsons with those new headlamps and stuff. Looks pretty sharp though. I'm sure that bumper will be unique, and looks a little more aggressive there. And so there's also a teaser image here for the interior, which shows an N shifter and some sportier seat bolstering, it looks like. That's also probably going to get a sportier steering wheel, metal pedals, a stiffer suspension setup, and maybe even a sportier exhaust to kind of fit in line with what you saw again with the Elantra GT N-Line that was revealed in Detroit last month. But anyway, we'll be seeing this here next month at Geneva. Kia is also bringing an exciting concept to Geneva and might just steal the show, at least as far as affordable stuff goes. The name hasn't been revealed yet, But this, according to Kia, they're officially saying it's going to be a visual embodiment of the company's desire to move forward in the exciting world of electrification and will signpost our holistic and emotional approach to electrification. And they lastly claim it will get your pulse racing. So we will see about all that, but I will say that is a very cool look. And if Kia can bring that to production relatively unchanged, that could really be an eye catcher out on the road. And so obviously this is going to be an EV, but the only powertrain they have for EVs right now is the one that I just tested in the Niro EV, that's also in the Soul EV, and that also is in the Hyundai Kona EV. But anyway, it's only a single motor, only has front wheel drive, 201 horsepower, 291 pound-feet of torque. Now, it was a lot of fun in the Niro EV for a vehicle of that type, but for a sports car, will that be enough? And that's just going to come down to how large this vehicle is. Again, if it even is produced. This could just be a concept just for fun to be like, hey, look, we'll do something cool. But with Kia, they've been bold. I mean, no one expected the Stinger, and yet they've made it. And it seems to be selling pretty well for them. So they have the guts to go for some of the more outlandish stuff and to, think outside the box a little bit. And so I hope they really do make this. And especially, some people are saying, well, what are they going to do about powertrains? That's not enough horsepower. But if this is a small two-door coupe, kind of like a BRZ or something, you have 201 horsepower, like a BRZ basically, but 291 pound-feet of torque, which is double the amount of torque you have in a BRZ basically, because all those electric motors. That could be a phenomenal vehicle. And, obviously in the Niro and stuff, it's in the front with that electric motor for front wheel drive, but you could put it in the back very easily, make it rear wheel drive. That would be fantastic. Have a, BRZ style vehicle that's EV with tons of torque. I mean, again, if you want to go watch my Niro EV review, see my acceleration reaction in a Niro with that power plant, put that in this little small coupe, that would be amazing on its own. Now, if they want to go crazy, they can put two of those motors for all-wheel drive, and then you have 400 horsepower and maybe less range or something as well, though, because you're obviously sucking down way more electricity with that. But that's, I guess, an option as well if they really want to go crazy. But honestly, just toss that same Niro EV motor in the back of a small coupe, call it a day, and I think you would have a phenomenal vehicle. And it'd probably have the highest range out of all these EVs as well from Kia, because you have a way more aerodynamic, lighter vehicle, hopefully. And could help it to slip through the wind and maybe even get like 300 miles of range potentially or something like that. We'll have to wait and see what they do, but I'm actually really excited about that and can't wait to hear more next month. According to Motor Trend, we have a few other Hyundai stories here. First is they're planning to bring a smaller crossover, smaller than even the Kona, to the New York Auto Show in April. And so it's rumored to be called the Styx. It was originally being developed for India and other foreign markets, but now will be brought to the U.S. because of our, this country's just absolute obsession with small crossovers right now. So they want to kind of get ahead of the curve and try and carve out a new niche of people that want something even smaller than the Kona, which, I reviewed the Kona last year. I enjoyed it. It's a cool little crossover, but it's tight on space already, and you don't have a lot of cargo space. I just barely fit behind myself, as far as seating goes. And then they're saying this new Styx, if that's what they end up calling it, is going to be 7 inches shorter than a Kona. So even more squished. Unless it's a two-door, I don't know how they're going to fit. It's going to be like a unicycle. I don't know how much smaller you can get with a crossover, but we'll see what they end up doing with it. I don't know how they're going to make that usable, but anyway, Sang-Yup Lee, who's the head of Hyundai's Global Design Center in South Korea, told Motor Trend it's going to have a very, very distinctive two-box area, and continued that this one is almost very boxy, bold, bulldoggy character. I don't know what that means. Maybe something was lost in translation. But whatever it means, I guess it's going to be pretty radical. And so maybe this is Hyundai's take on like a Kia Soul type of styling or something. We'll have to wait and see. Supposedly it's going to be on sale later this year, though, so it's coming fast. And not sure what engine it's going to get in the U.S., but most likely it won't be fast. But we'll have to wait and see. Not going to judge too early here. And they also say in the report that an EV version is fairly likely eventually, as well as Kia potentially getting their own version of this as well. Other future Hyundai news is is about the Santa Cruz pickup truck. In the same interview I just was mentioning with Motor Trend, that global design center boss talked about the styling for the new Santa Cruz truck that is confirmed to be coming. He said compared to the concept, the production truck will be a lot more distinctive and have a lot more character, and that the look is a lot more progressive. Even though it's still going to be a crossover-based pickup. They confirmed this is going to be based on the Tucson platform. I think the next-gen Tucson platform, which is coming early 2020, 2021, something like that. And so it's going to be based on that. So not going to be as legit as some heavier-duty trucks, and the real midsize truck segment is going to be more like a Honda Ridgeline type thing, I think, instead. But anyway, there's also rumors that Kia is going to be getting a version of this as well. But that truck, they're saying, could launch either in 2020 or 2021 as well. So coming fairly quickly. GMC has revealed the refreshed 2020 Acadia this week. And so it gets some new styling here with more slender headlamps, a bolder grille there similar to the GMC trucks, new taillights and bumpers there as well. There's also a new AT4 trim now available, right in line with all the other GMCs. And that gets you the darker trim and wheels. And it also is only with all-wheel drive, a little more of a rugged setup there. The 193 horsepower 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine is still the base engine for these, but then the 3.6 liter V6 with 310 horsepower is still available if you want as an upgrade, and that's also the standard engine on the AT4 version. There's also a new 2 liter twin-scroll turbo 4-cylinder also that's going to be offered that does 230 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and that's going to be the standard engine for the SLT and Denali trims. And then all these engines are going to be coming with that new 9-speed automatic that GM has. It also gets a new push button based shifter setup, so they're ditching the shift lever that they had in the past. It also gets some other slight interior changes that are minor. We get a slightly larger infotainment display, supposedly available wireless charging and USB-C jacks now. GMC's also said the suspension's been reworked for greater comfort. And so anyway, these are going to be going on sale in the fall, but they don't have any pricing for them yet. Mercedes has revealed 2 new special edition versions of cars that are going to be dying off soon. And the first here is the SL, which gets this new Grand Edition trim. And they all come in gray with special badging, AMG wheels, and sport suspension. Inside, they all get Tundra Brown Pearl leather with gold piping. It's only going to be available on the SL 450 and 550 models, not on any of the AMGs. It's a nice little send-off. There's rumors that there is a new SL in the works, though. It's going to be a little bit of a sportier setup, but not sure when that's going to be coming, if ever, because it's really kind of tough with the AMG GT now. It's definitely sportier, but then they have the E-Class and you have the S-Class cabrios and stuff, so it's kind of a tough proposition, but hopefully they continue on making them just because of the history of the SL. The other Mercedes getting a send-off here is the SLC, and so this one's called the Final Edition, suggesting the SLC probably won't get a next-gen version, unfortunately. And so it's going to be available with both the SLC 300 and the SLC 43. There's only 2 colors going to be available. There's Sun Yellow, which Europe's going to be getting on both models, but here in the US, that's only going to be on the 43 version. That's your only option. Then there's Selenite Gray is going to be available, but that's the only color going to be available for the SLC 300 here in the US. Again, you can get that on either or in Europe. They all get black trim, black and gray leather seats, and an aluminum dashboard. The SLC 300 will get a sport suspension, drilled brake rotors, and AMG line bumpers. The SLC 43 gets unique wheels and a few other little tweaks as well. And these will be at Geneva, but supposedly they're not going to be available until late 2020. So we're over a year and a half away from these things being available. So I'm not sure why they're showing it so early. I guess maybe to give people hope that yes, there will be SLCs for the next year and a half. And there's no pricing yet, of course, because it's so far out. I'm not even sure why they bothered showing it. I think it could have waited a whole year to show this, unless there's a typo there on that release date. There's a few other vehicles that we found out are getting killed off this week. The first is the Toyota Prius C. So Toyota confirmed this to Autoblog, that the 2019 model year will be the last, with production already ending, and there's only about 700 left in stock at dealers. So quickly winding down. If you desperately want to get one new, you got to run out and get one soon. They're doing this to make room for the Corolla Hybrid, which is more powerful and gets better fuel economy, much better fuel economy actually. I think the Prius C was high 40s, and the Corolla is, like in the low 50s, so much better. And yeah, so I'll have my review on the Corolla sedan next week, and yeah, it's a nicely packaged vehicle, and yeah, you can hear more next week. But anyway, interesting to hear that. I don't think too many people are going to miss the Prius C, so not a big deal there. Buick confirmed to Automotive News this week that the Cascada is going to be done after the 2019 model year, saying that it has reached the end of its originally planned life cycle and 2019 will be the last model year offered. They say dealers have been notified and many will have stock throughout the rest of this year. So they produce these in Poland, and that production will continue until this summer. So they will, they'll be around all this year if you want one. They've only sold though about 17,000 over the past 3 years, even despite a pretty hefty marketing campaign and stuff. And I think the main reason, I reviewed one back in my Subaru WRX fan days a couple of years ago, and it was a cool car. It was awesome that Buick was offering a convertible, but it was dated from the very moment it set foot in the States here. It already had a dated infotainment system, tons of buttons, very, it was just based off an Opel that they just basically brought over and put some Buick badges on it, and that was it. And so they should have done a little bit more. It would have been nice to see some type of refresh to update the interior. But, they said that it had brought in some new Buick customers, and that's what they wanted to do with it. And so anyway, it's a shame to see that go. But again, not too many people are going to miss that. Land Rover announced this week something that a few more people might be upset about. And that is that the 518 horsepower Discovery SVX that they showed a concept that they said they were planning to put into production last year, that's not getting built anymore. And it was supposed to give the Discovery the awesome supercharged 5-liter V8 from the other Range Rover models and the F-Type Jag and all that kind of stuff. And just last month, they also canceled the V8 powered Range Rover SV Autobiography Coupe. And this is a worrying trend, and Car and Driver actually is suggesting that old V8 might be a problem whenever you look at what's going on. There could be some issue behind the scenes here, because it's either got to be a change in company direction or it's just got to be some type of maybe a fuel economy issue with it dragging down their ratings, so they just want to kind of get rid of it or something for CAF standards or something. I don't know, for CAFE. And so anyway, Jaguar also apparently, according to Car and Driver, scrapped plans for an XE SVR last year that was supposed to use that same engine, but they might be killing off this V8 fast. So hopefully they stay away from the Jags and let those have it at least for another couple of years here. But they want to potentially make Jag all EV, and they want to do these new inline six with the Range Rovers and stuff. So things are changing. It's going to be a shame when this 5-liter V8 dies out, because it's fantastic sounding. One vehicle that thankfully isn't getting killed off is the Honda Civic Hatchback. So the first news this week was that the plant in the UK that builds both the regular hatchback and the Type R was confirmed to be closing, but not until 2021. And that's a shame for those in the UK. They're going to be losing, I think about 3,500 jobs are being lost because of that whole thing. And so the future hatchbacks are put in kind of a little bit of a limbo, but then Honda issued a statement to Autoblog confirming there will be a next-gen Civic Hatch, mostly because they said the Civic Hatch is more popular than they expected, at least here in North America, with about 20% of all North American Civic sales being the hatchback, which is, this is another example. If you want a car and you say online, yeah, make this car, you got to buy it, and people are buying hatchbacks, so Honda says, okay, there's demand for this, we're going to continue building it. And that's awesome. The same thing goes, people want to save the manuals, buy a manual, buy a new manual, send the message, and then they'll keep making them. Car companies want to make money, so if they can make money selling you something in reasonable numbers, they will. They can't do one-off cars, but if there's 20% of Civic sales or hatch, they'll keep building it. And so they said because of that awesome support for the hatch, they're interested in bringing the hatchback production to the U.S., and that's where they would plan to build them, including the next-gen Type R. So this means they're talking about next-gen versions. So not only is it going to continue on here for the current gen, but they're already planning a next-gen hatchback, which is awesome, and also a Type R. And so the Type R engine is already built in Ohio and then shipped over to the UK. So this would make it actually easier logistically to just build the Type Rs here in the States. Honda says production of these wouldn't start until the next-gen Civic is launched, though, meaning there's either going to be a gap from 2021 until whenever the new Civic comes, or maybe the new Civic could arrive even earlier than that, or probably not before 2021, but I'm guessing maybe that's when they'll time it up to kind of sync up. So whenever the plan closing in the UK. This new one will come online, hopefully. I don't think they've had any plans yet, but that's what I'm hoping, they kind of time it so that there isn't any kind of gap, and they'll continue to build the next gen version maybe around 2021. But anyway, awesome to see that. Awesome to see they're continuing on with the hatch. Another vehicle that now seems to have a better chance of staying alive is the Rivian R1T electric pickup truck that was revealed at CES, and made a lot of shockwaves and really impressed a lot of people. And the main reason why there's more of a chance that this is actually going to come to market is because Amazon this week invested a huge amount of money. I think there's a few other investors, but the total amount of the investment is $700 million, and most of that probably is Amazon. And so that's an extra $700 million into this company. It means Rivian could really be a really strong Tesla competitor very quickly, especially if you have Amazon backing it in a big way. So that is huge. And definitely, I think it's time to take Rivian seriously. Amazon has also invested $530 million last week in a self-driving car tech company called Aurora Innovation, which actually does some of their testing here in Pittsburgh, where I'm located. So that self-driving tech could help Rivian actually deliver on their self-driving promises. They were saying that this truck would be like level 4 autonomous, which isn't totally autonomous, but is mostly autonomous. That still seems very ambitious to have anyone have anything ready in time for this Rivian truck to actually be on sale. But, maybe they could partner these two together and, have something a little bit more functional in time for this vehicle to actually go on sale. But anyway, interesting to see that. There's a few German vehicles that were spied testing this week in the snow. First, we have the Porsche Taycan and Taycan Sport Turismo that were spied. And so they both look nearly production ready here with very minimal camo. But unfortunately, it appears they're going to be including fake exhaust tips, unless that's very advanced, elaborate camo or a fake rear bumper just to, mess with people. I really hope that's not their plan, because that would be really stupid for an EV to have fake exhaust tips. I get it's a Porsche, but I mean, Porsche Taycan buyers are excited that it's going to be an EV. That's why they're buying it. Otherwise, they just buy a Panamera. They don't need exhaust tips, fake ones, plastered on the back of their thing. So I'm hoping that's going to change before production, or it's just on these prototypes to throw people off or something. Anyway, the Sport Turismo version even appears to have slid into a snowbank while it was being tested at one point. So they're testing them hard, I guess. But anyway, we don't have any looks at the interior yet, so that's still a little bit of a mystery, but I would expect something fairly similar to what you see in like the new 911, the new Panamera, stuff like that. But anyway, we should be seeing a full reveal of this sometime this year. So anyway, interesting to see those. The last vehicles that were spied here are two Audis. First off, we have the RS Q4, which seems to have the same enhancements as the RS Q3 that was previously spied. This Q4 is just going to be, a sportier rear roof line. Basically, it's obviously the same as like the X3 and X4. And so anyway, they're supposed to be using the awesome 5-cylinder turbo engine, though, from the RS3 and TTRS. And so that'll be great if they do that. And not sure when we'll be seeing this, though, because we're still waiting on the full reveal of the regular Q4. So we probably, I'm guessing the RS Q3 will be revealed first, or maybe, it might be a long wait for both, and we'll wait for the Q4 to arrive first, and then later on the RS versions or something. We'll have to wait and see, but awesome to see them working on those. Audi was also spied testing a refresh here for the A5 Sportback, and so it's pretty light. We know the A4 is getting a refresh as well. These are all to bring them in line with the all-new A6 and A8, a little bit closer in styling. They're going to get lightly revised bumpers and lights to make it, a little more advanced, a little more complicated looking, especially see those tail lamps have a little bit more dimension and complexity to them. Look very cool. The headlights also look cool. You can see lots of sensors also on the front end there for all the advanced driver assistance tech. And I'm guessing we'll be seeing these fairly soon, partially because it's just a mild refresh, and also partially because it's rumored to be a 2020 model vehicle, which would mean, it'd be on sale before the end of this year probably. So we'll have to wait and see, but anyway, interesting to see that spied. And for the last story this week, this is an interesting rumor from Best Car Magazine, and they're the same ones that reported about the BRZ in 86 getting killed off, and then were immediately proven wrong when both Subaru and Toyota were like, nope, we're doing a next-gen version still, you're wrong. So take this with a heavy, heavy grain of salt. But here's their newest rumor here. So they're claiming that the next-gen Lexus IS, they have a few tidbits in here that are a little more credible, but the first thing is they're starting off by saying that it's going to be getting the BMW B58 turbo engine that's from the Supra, and that's going to be in the IS to replace the top V6 that's currently in there, in the IS 350. And that sounds very unlikely. I know that, obviously BMW is working with Toyota with the Supra, but I mean, in the Supra, you have way less horsepower than the Z4. And it's very different because you have one as a coupe, one as a convertible. I mean, if they sold this to Lexus, I would be shocked for the IS just because, it's going to compete directly with the 3 Series. And obviously the 3 Series will probably get a better, more powerful engine. But still, why would you give a really good engine to one of your competitors? So, and it also, I know Toyota's agreed to use it, and there's rumors it could potentially have a little bit more enhancements to make it a little more reliable, because of the lower horsepower and stuff. But I don't know if it still would be up to the reliability standards of Lexus, which is even higher than Toyota, usually is the number one, and, not sure if this BMW engine would be able to last 1,000,000 miles like Matt Farah's 1,000,000-mile Lexus just reached. So, I don't know about that. Seems very unlikely to me. For some more legitimate stuff, they say here that the current Lexus 2-liter turbo will be the base engine still. That makes sense. The 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder will be the engine for the hybrid version, like it currently is. That makes sense. All very reasonable speculation there. They also claim the ISF will be returning and that's going to be using the twin-turbo V6 from the Lexus LS 500, which already makes exactly the same horsepower as the old ISF did. That makes sense. Totally reasonable speculation. I wouldn't be shocked one bit if all that came true. Far more likely. The other tidbits they claim are that the car will stay about the same size, but the wheelbase will be 4 centimeters longer, and the car will get a little bit lighter as well to help with better handling and stuff, which I think it can use. It's definitely a little bit on the heavier side, and I actually just have one as a press vehicle this week, an IS 350, and I did a review on an IS 350 a couple of years ago, but this one is an F Sport, so it'll be a little bit sportier, so I'll be testing it again here soon, but so that's, that again, all these rumors make sense. And another previous rumor from somewhere else also claimed the next-gen IS is going to be starting production in July of 2020. If that is true, then, we should be seeing a reveal sometime before the end of this year, possibly. Maybe LA would make sense, November or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Again, I really don't think we're going to be getting the BMW engine in this. But stranger things have happened. Look at the Supra and stuff. No one really saw that coming originally. And so, anyway, interesting to hear all that stuff. But yeah, so that's it for all the news this week, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.